Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time, an inevitably critical and profound time in every person's journey when they feel lost. It is a moment when the road ahead, once so clear, becomes utterly shrouded in fog. It is a moment when the past, which was once a source of experience, suddenly feels like a heavy iron chain, binding you to the very spot where you stand. It is a moment of paralyzing, terrifying uncertainty. If you are in that place right now, if you are standing at that crossroads, if you are surrounded by that fog, I want you to listen to me. Know this, and know it in the very marrow of your bones. You are not alone. This feeling, this profound sense of being lost, is not a curse. It is not unique to you. In fact, every great leader, every innovator, every captain of industry, every success story whose name is written in the annals of history has, at some point, stood exactly where you are standing. They have all staring into the same impenetrable fog. But here is the truth, my friends. Here is the great secret that separates the man who will rise from the man who will be consumed by that fog. Feeling lost is not failure. It is not a verdict. It is not the end of your story. It is a signal. It is a powerful, divine, and necessary signal from life itself. It is a call to action. It is a call to rise higher. It is a call to redefine your path, to cast aside the small, petty, and mediocre ambitions you have been clinging to. It is a call to set your sights on something greater, something truer, something more magnificent than what you have, up to this point, settled for. You see, the man who is never lost is the man who is not on a journey. He is the man who has never dared to leave the small, familiar, and well-lit path of mediocrity. He is the drifter. The greatest tragedy, as we will soon discuss, is not being lost. The greatest tragedy is to have no destination at all, to be a ship without a rudder, drifting aimlessly at the mercy of the winds and the waves. The drifter is never lost, because he is going nowhere. But you feel lost, and that very feeling, that pain, that anxiety, is the proof that you are on a journey. It is the proof that you have a destiny. It is the proof that you have a purpose, and your soul is crying out because you have strayed from it. This feeling of being lost is not a punishment. It is the first, painful, and necessary step of your preparation. It is the fire that is meant to burn away your complacency. It is the storm that is meant to test your foundations. It is life's way of asking you, are you serious? Are you truly ready for what you have been asking for? History has proven this time and again. The most successful individuals were not those who had an easy, clear path. They were those who were once in a position where they had no clear direction, where they had failed, where they had been broken. But in that moment of darkness, they made a choice. They recognized that adversity is not the end. It is the seed of transformation. It is through this very difficulty, this very fog, that we develop the strength, the wisdom, and the resilience necessary to reach new heights. Life has a way of challenging those who are meant for something greater. It tests them, not to break them, but to mold them, to forge them, to hammer them into individuals capable of handling the weight of great success. So when everything seems to be falling apart, you must understand that this is merely life clearing the way for something better. Those who understand this do not fear adversity. They embrace it. They recognize that every setback, every failure, every moment of being lost, carries within it the seed of an equal or greater opportunity. The key is not to dwell on the fog. The key is to search for the seed. And so we stand at this crossroads, and we have a choice. We can do what the average man does. We can sit down in the fog. We can complain about the lack of light. We can curse our past, and we can fear our future. We can become paralyzed by hesitation, or we can do what the master does. We can make a decision. You must understand this law. The world does not reward hesitation. It does not reward indecision. It does not reward the man who is waiting to see. The world and all the forces of the universe rewards one thing, and one thing only: definiteness of purpose. This is the great lighthouse. This is the antidote to the fog. The moment you decide, the moment you truly decide, with unshakable conviction, where you want to go, the fog begins to lift. The moment you define your purpose, the moment you give your subconscious mind its marching orders, the path, which was invisible 1 second before, begins to illuminate. The moment you commit, unseen forces, forces you cannot imagine, forces that have been waiting for your command, conspire to guide you. Resources appear, people arrive, opportunities materialize, seemingly from nowhere, but they were always there. They were simply waiting for you to tune your mind to their frequency, and the tuning fork is your definite purpose. But I must warn you, this commitment I speak of is not mere wishing. It is not the weak, passive, anemic hope of the drifter. It is not saying, I would like to succeed. That is not commitment. That is a preference. And the universe does not respond to preferences. Commitment is setting your soul on fire with a burning, all-consuming desire. It is the decision that you will have this thing, that you will become this person, or you will die in the attempt. It is the elimination of all other possibilities. It is the burning of your bridges. It is the magnificent, iron-willed obsession that, as we will explore, turns failure into fuel. This is the crossroads, and this is your moment of power. You are not lost. You are being called. You are not a victim. You are a warrior in training. Your past is not a chain. It is a lesson, and the fog is not a wall. It is a doorway. Today, we will not complain about the fog. We will not fear the fog. Today, we will build a lighthouse, and this entire message, this entire blueprint, is that lighthouse. We will begin by forging the steel of our character in the fire of adversity. We will then lay the indestructible foundation of a definite purpose. We will then learn to master the mind, the architect of our reality. We will learn to ignite the burning desire that becomes our fuel. We will learn the mechanics of faith and action, the twin engines of creation. And finally, we will build the great shield of persistence, the force that makes us inevitable. You are not alone. You are standing where every great man has stood before you. The only question that matters is, what will you do next? Will you sit in the fog, or will you rise and become the light? Let us begin. Feeling lost in life is an experience that touches every single person who has ever dared to dream. It is a universal human condition, but it is easy, in that moment of profound confusion, to believe that you are alone. It is easy to believe that this fog, this uncertainty, is a unique punishment reserved only for you. It is easy to believe that this feeling of being lost is a sign of weakness, or a final, irreversible verdict of failure. I tell you today that this is the first and greatest lie your mind will ever tell you. In reality, this moment of darkness, this crossroads of confusion, is often the very birthplace of greatness. It is the womb of transformation. History has proven, time and time again, that the most successful individuals, the men and women whose names we honor, the captains of industry, the great leaders, the profound thinkers, were once in a position exactly where you are. They were in a position where they had no clear direction. They were in a position where their past was a series of failures, and their future was an impenetrable wall of doubt. Adversity, my friends, is not the end. It is not a sign that your journey is over. It is the beginning. It is the seed of transformation. It is through difficulty, and only through difficulty, that we develop the strength, the wisdom, and the iron-willed resilience necessary to reach new heights. Life, the universe, God, whatever name you choose to call that great, intelligent face, has a way of challenging those who are meant for something greater. It does not waste its time on the man who is content with mediocrity. The drifter, the man with no ambition, faces few great tests, because he is destined for nothing. But the man or woman of potential, the one who has a spark of greatness within them, that person will be tested. Life will test them, not to break them, but to mold them, not to crush them, but to forge them. Life is the master blacksmith, and you are the raw iron. You must be put into the fire of adversity to be made into steel. Life must know if you are capable of handling the success you are asking for. It must determine if the vessel is strong enough to hold the great reward. When everything in your life seems to be falling apart, when the old job fails, when the old relationships end, when the old certainties crumble, you must understand this is not a catastrophe. This is merely life clearing the way. It is demolishing the old, weak, and small foundation. Why? Because you cannot build a skyscraper on the foundation of a shack. Life is making room for something better, something larger, something more magnificent than what you had settled for. Those who understand this law do not fear adversity. They do not curse their bad luck. They embrace it. They welcome it as a worthy opponent. They recognize the great alchemical secret that every setback, every failure, every heartbreak carries within it the seed of an equal or greater opportunity. This is not a platitude. This is a law. It is as much a law as the law of gravity. But this seed is not on the surface. It does not present itself to the casual, complaining observer. It is hidden. It is waiting to be uncovered by the man who has the courage to stop complaining and start searching. The key is not to dwell on what has been lost. The key is to, with a controlled and disciplined mind, search for what can be gained. Many of the world's most influential figures were once utterly lost. They stood at the very edge of uncertainty. They questioned their purpose. They doubted their abilities. They wondered if they would ever find their way. Think of any great man or woman, and you will find a story of profound struggle. They were not born with crowns on their heads. They were forged. But rather than surrendering to despair, rather than accepting their fate as the drifter does, they made a choice. They searched for the meaning in their struggles. They turned their pain into fuel. They turned their failures into lessons. They refused, with every fiber of their being, to let a temporary confusion define their entire, permanent destiny. This, my friends, is what separates those who rise from those who remain stuck. It is the one defining characteristic. It is the ability to see adversity not as an enemy, but as a guide. It is the ability to see the storm not as a force to destroy you, but as a force to move you. This is the trait that turns ordinary people into extraordinary leaders. The human spirit is built for endurance. You were designed to withstand failure. You were designed to withstand heartbreak, rejection, and uncertainty. That strength is your birthright. But in the moment of difficulty, in the dark, in the fog, it is easy to forget this. When you are lost, your mind plays tricks on you. It is a masterful deceiver. It is the voice that whispers in the dark. It convinces you that you are powerless. It convinces you that your struggles are unique, that no one has ever suffered as you suffer. It convinces you that you are alone, and that you will never find clarity. I'm here to tell you that these thoughts are nothing more than illusions. They are ghosts. They are shadows without substance. The truth is that struggle is universal. It is the common denominator of all ambitious life. And so, the ability to overcome it is also universal. The difference, the only difference, between those who remain lost and those who find their way, is one word: perspective. It is a matter of choice. The man who remains lost chooses to believe that adversity is destroying him. The man who finds his way chooses to believe that adversity is shaping him. The drifter looks at the obstacle and sees a barrier, a wall, a dead end. The master looks at the exact same obstacle and sees a stepping stone. He sees a lesson. He sees a way to climb higher. When the storm of life arrives, most people, the masses, focus on what has gone wrong. They become obsessed with the loss. They replay their mistakes over and over. In the theater of their mind, they bathe in the acid of regret. They lament their missed opportunities, and they project that past failure onto their future, creating a powerful, paralyzing fear of an uncertain tomorrow. But this focus on loss, this obsession with what is wrong, only leads to more confusion. It is like trying to navigate a dark forest by staring at the ground immediately beneath your feet. You will only see the mud. You will only see the snakes. You will never see the path. Instead, your focus must be on growth. You must, as an act of deliberate, disciplined will, lift your eyes from the mud and ask a new set of questions. You must ask, what is this challenge teaching me? What weakness is this failure exposing in me, so that I may turn it into a strength? What new skills am I being forced to develop right now? What strengths are being forged in me, in this very fire? What new doors might this situation be opening? Doors I could not have seen from my old, comfortable path? The moment, the very second, your mind shifts from the frequency of fear to the frequency of possibility, everything changes. The fog does not clear, not all at once, but you have just created a light. You have just ignited the engine of your own mind. No one, I repeat, no one reaches their highest potential without first enduring hardship. This is the law of nature, and you are not an exception to it. Diamonds, the most precious of all stones, are not found as polished gems. They are chunks of carbon, common coal, that are formed only under the most intense, crushing, and unimaginable pressure. Steel, the metal that builds our cities and our bridges, is not a gentle creation. It is forged in the hottest fire, where it is beaten, hammered, and then plunged into the cold water. It is this violent process that gives it its strength. The strongest trees in the forest are not the ones protected in the valley. They are the ones on the barren mountainside, the ones that are constantly beaten by the fiercest winds, the ones that must endure the ice and the storms. And in fighting this relentless resistance, in refusing to be broken, they are forced to grow deeper roots. Their wood becomes dense, their branches become strong, and they stand, magnificent, as a testament to the power of the struggle. Human beings are no different. The more difficult the struggle, the greater the potential for your transformation. Those who have the courage to embrace difficulty as a necessary part of the journey, those who do not pray for an easy life but pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. They discover a profound secret. They discover that what once seemed like a curse, what once seemed like a terrible misfortune, was actually their preparation. It was the training. It was the forge. It was the pressure that was turning them from common coal into a priceless diamond. It is impossible to avoid adversity so long as you are ambitious, so long as you are moving, so long as you are daring to be great. You will meet it. It is a sign that you are on the right path, but it is entirely possible to use it. It is possible to use it as fuel. Those who refuse to be defined by their struggles and instead choose, as an act of will, to be refined by them, they become unstoppable. They are the ones who understand that being lost is not a curse. It is an invitation. It is a call to rise from the comfortable slumber of your old self. It is a call to push forward, to dig deeper into your own soul, to find the reserves of power you never knew you possessed. It is an invitation to emerge from that fog, not as the same person who entered it, but as someone stronger, someone wiser, someone more resilient, and someone who is, at last, ready for their true destiny. Every moment of uncertainty is a doorway. It is a doorway to something greater. The drifter stands before it, paralyzed by fear. He complains about the door. He curses the door. He turns around and goes back to the safety of his past. But the master, the man you are becoming, recognizes it. He knows that on the other side of that dark doorway, on the other side of that fear, lies his next, greater self. He recognizes the signal in the storm. He accepts the invitation, and he steps through it, out of the fog, and into his destiny. This, my friends, is the true purpose of adversity. And now that you have accepted this invitation, you must answer it. You must now, with this newfound understanding, do the one thing that will clear the fog forever. You must choose your purpose. We have established a profound truth. We have stood together in the fog of uncertainty, at the great crossroads of life, and we have learned a vital secret. We have learned that the feeling of being lost is not failure. It is not a verdict. It is not the end. It is a signal. It is a call to action. It is the universe, life itself, tapping you on the shoulder and telling you that you were meant for something greater. It is the fire of adversity, sent not to burn you, but to forge you. It is the necessary preparation for your true destiny. But my friends, this is where the great danger lies. The preparation, the test, the storm of adversity is not the tragedy. The tragedy is to misinterpret the signal. The tragedy is to believe the fog is your permanent home. The tragedy is to set up camp in the land of uncertainty and to accept your confusion as a life sentence. The greatest tragedy in life, I tell you, is not failure. It is not struggle. It is not hardship. The greatest tragedy of all, the one that claims more souls than any war, is moving through this one, precious, unrepeatable life without a clear and definite purpose. A person without a definite purpose is like a ship without a rudder. This is not a mere poetic phrase. It is a precise, mechanical diagnosis of failure. Imagine a magnificent, powerful ship with great engines, a strong hull, and a capable crew. It is sitting in the harbor, ready to sail, but it has no rudder, and it has no destination. The captain, the drifter, has no map. He has not chosen a port, and so, what happens? The ship is pushed out to sea. It is at the mercy of every wind, every wave, and every current. The wind of public opinion pushes it north. The current of circumstance pulls it south. The storm of adversity, which we discussed, throws it against the rocks. It is a victim. It is a reactor. It is a magnificent, powerful, and utterly useless collection of potential, drifting aimlessly at the mercy of the elements, never arriving at a destination. Why? Because none was ever chosen. This, my friends, is the life of 98 out of every 100 people. They are drifters. They are ships without rudders. They are spectators in their own lives, waiting, hoping, wishing that some favorable wind will, by chance, blow them into a harbor of success and happiness. It will not happen. Now, let us look at the other 2%. Let us look at the man who achieves greatness. Is he necessarily more intelligent? No. The world is filled with educated derelicts. Is he more talented? No. The world is full of talented failures. Is he more fortunate? More lucky? Absolutely not. He is the one who has done one simple, profound thing. He is the one who has a burning conviction about where he is going and why he must get there. He has a definite purpose. He has a rudder. He has a map. He has a destination. When the storm of adversity comes, the same storm that shipwrecks the drifter, what does the man of purpose do? He does not curse the wind. He uses the wind. He adjusts his sails. He turns his rudder. He uses the very force that would destroy the drifter to propel him toward his destination. He does not merely exist. He lives with intention. A definite purpose is the foundation upon which all success is built. It is the starting point of all achievement. It is the invisible force that pulls a person forward when every ounce of their being wants to quit. Without it, as I have said, the smallest setback, the smallest criticism becomes an insurmountable challenge. Without it, your motivation, which was so high yesterday, will fade by tomorrow. Your discipline, your self-control, will weaken and collapse because it has nothing to anchor to, and opportunities, the lucky breaks you pray for, will slip right through your fingers because you will not even have the eyes to see them. But with it, with a definite purpose, with a burning, all-consuming obsession, nothing can stand in the way of your progress. Your purpose becomes your armor. It becomes your compass. It becomes your fuel. Purpose gives meaning to the struggle. It gives direction to your effort. And it gives iron-willed persistence to your ambition. It is the one great, distinguishing mark that separates those who live with passion, power, and drive from those who simply go through the motions. Those who live lives of quiet, numb desperation. And I tell you, every person listening to my voice right now has the power to choose their purpose. It is not something reserved for a select few. It is not a gift handed down from heaven to your neighbor and not to you. It is a choice. It is a decision. It is available to all who seek it, to all who demand it. Yet, why do so many wander? Why do so many drift? They wander through life, day after day, year after year, without ever making this decision. They allow their circumstances, their present, temporary reality, to dictate their future. They allow other people's opinions, the noise of the crowd, the fears of their family, and the expectations of society to draw the map for their lives. And so they settle. This is the great American tragedy. They settle for jobs they do not love, because it pays the bills. They settle for routines that do not inspire them, because it is safe. They settle for dreams that do not even belong to them, dreams they inherited from their parents or from a television commercial. They live reactively, not proactively. They wake up in the morning and ask the world, "What will happen to me today?" They are waiting for life to tell them what to do, instead of standing up with the full power of their will and commanding their own destiny. The truth is, life does not assign purpose. People do. You must decide. You must decide what you want, why you want it, and you must commit to pursuing it with a relentless, unwavering determination. And let me be clear, it is not enough to have a vague idea or a wishful dream. It is not enough to say, "I want to be happy," or "I want to be rich," or "I want to be successful." These are not purposes. These are idle wishes. They have no power. They are ships with no destination. What does rich mean? What does happy mean? They are vapors. Your purpose must be definite. It must be specific. It must be clear. It must be written down. It must be compelling. It must be a vision so strong, so clear, and so powerful that it withstands the inevitable challenges that will arise. A weak purpose, a vague wish, will crumble at the first sign of difficulty. It will dissolve at the first voice of criticism. But a definite purpose, a chief aim that you have burned into your subconscious mind, will create an unshakable mindset. It will make you a force that cannot be deterred. The moment, the very second, a person identifies their definite purpose, their entire perspective shifts. It is as if a light has been switched on in a dark room. Indecision vanishes. Why? Because you now have a standard against which to measure all of your actions. When a distraction comes, you ask one question: does this move me closer to my definite purpose? If the answer is no, you discard it ruthlessly. Time is no longer wasted on trivialities. Your actions become intentional. Every day is approached with a sense of urgency, not a panicked, fearful urgency, but the calm, powerful urgency of a builder who has a blueprint and a deadline. There is no more waiting for the right moment, because when you are living with purpose, every moment is the right moment. Every moment is an opportunity to take one more step, to lay one more brick, to make one more move toward your goal. And what of the adversity we spoke of? What of the challenges? When you have a definite purpose, your relationship with them changes completely. They no longer feel like barriers. They no longer feel like punishments. They become necessary tests. They become the challenges that strengthen your character, that sharpen your skills, and that build your resilience. You welcome them, because you know that each one you overcome is simply proving that you are worthy of the goal you seek. Purpose is also the key, the only key to true, lasting fulfillment. So many people in this world spend their entire lives chasing things. They chase money, they chase status, they chase external validation, the applause of the crowd, and many of them even achieve it, only to find themselves, in the end, completely empty. They have a full bank account and an empty soul. Why? Because these things, while valuable, do not provide the deep, profound sense of meaning that comes from knowing you are on your right path. They do not provide the joy that comes from the struggle itself. When a person is driven by a definite purpose, every effort feels worthwhile. Every drop of sweat is an investment. Every sacrifice is a joy. Success is not measured solely by the material gain at the end. It is measured by the impact you make. It is measured by the progress you achieve, day by day. And it is measured by the personal growth, by the person you become, along the way. There is no limit to what a person can accomplish once they commit to a definite, burning purpose. The world, I have said, does not reward hesitation. It rewards clarity. It rewards conviction. It rewards that unwavering persistence. The moment an individual declares, not to the world, but to themselves, "This is what I will do. This is who I will become," and dedicates themselves fully to achieving it, the universe responds. It must. It is the law. Opportunities appear. Resources align. The right people, the right ideas, the right circumstances, all, as if by magic, come into their lives. But it is not magic. It is the law. Your purpose has become a magnet, drawing everything necessary for its fulfillment. The decision to live with purpose is the decision to stop being a drifter. It is the decision to stop being a victim. It is the decision to seize the rudder of your own ship. It is the decision to take control of your destiny. And those who make this choice, those who burn this purpose into their hearts, will never, ever be lost again. They may be in a storm, but they are not lost. They may be in the fog, but they are not lost, for they have an internal compass, a guiding star that is more real, more powerful, and more true than any temporary external condition. And this, my friends, is the great tragedy. Not that men fail, not that they suffer, but that they live and die without ever having made this one great, life-giving choice. Now, you must make yours. You must now take this purpose, and you must learn how to make it the single, dominant, ruling force of your mind. So, my friends, you have done the great work. You have stood in the fog of uncertainty at the great crossroads, and you have made the most important decision of your life. You have chosen. You have refused to be a drifter, a ship without a rudder. You have, through a deliberate act of will, forged for yourself a definite, chief purpose. You have a destination. You have a map. The fog of being lost has been pierced by the great, burning lighthouse of your own conviction. But I must ask you a critical question. What good is a map if the captain of the ship is blind? What good is a destination if the man at the helm is asleep? drunk, or in a state of terror, allowing the ship to be smashed against the very rocks he is trying to avoid. Having a purpose, my friends, is the glorious first step. It is the step that 98 out of 100 men fail to take. But now, you must take the second, for you have the map. You must now learn to control the ship. You must learn to become the captain. And that ship, that magnificent, powerful, and terrifyingly complex vessel, is your own mind. We now come to the great architect. We come to the tool, the only tool you possess that is capable of shaping your reality and determining the entire course of your life. We have come to the third great pillar of our instruction. You must become the architect of reality by mastering your own mind. Every achievement, every failure, every triumph, and every setback begins first in the silent, unseen, and all-powerful realm of your thought. Your thoughts are not passive. This is the first lie you must unlearn. Your thoughts are not harmless, fleeting clouds. Your thoughts are active, living forces. They are commands. They are magnets. They are the draftsmen in your internal workshop, drawing the blueprints that your life, your circumstances, and the universe itself must then build into physical, tangible fact. A person, I tell you, becomes what they think about most often. This is not a pleasant philosophy. This is not a hopeful platitude. It is a fundamental, unchangeable, and impersonal law of the universe. If your mind, your command center, is filled with thoughts of doubt, thoughts of fear, thoughts of limitation, thoughts of I can't, then your life, the mirror of your mind, will reflect those very conditions. Your life will be a life of doubt, fear, and limitation. But if that same mind is filled, deliberately and by force of will, with thoughts of confidence, with thoughts of determination, with the absolute expectation of success, then success becomes your inevitable reality. We must now, in detail, explore the mechanism of this law. Your mind has two parts. The conscious mind, the part that is hearing my voice right now, the part that thinks, that reasons, that chooses. This is the captain on the bridge. But below the bridge, in the engine room, is the great, unseen, and infinitely powerful servant, your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind absorbs whatever is fed to it by the captain. It does not question. It does not judge. It does not argue. It does not distinguish between what is good or bad. It simply accepts whatever is impressed upon it with faith and with feeling. And here is the great secret that the masters understand and the drifters ignore. Your subconscious mind does not, and cannot, distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined. It does not know the difference between an actual, physical experience and an experience you have lived with full, sensory, emotional detail in the theater of your own imagination. It simply accepts the feeling as the fact. And once it accepts that fact, it goes to work, day and night, using all the unseen forces of the universe at its command, to bring that fact into your physical world. This is why people who constantly dwell on failure, on misfortune, on their problems, often find themselves trapped in a terrifying, repeating cycle of negativity. Their dominant thoughts, their constant rehearsals of their past failures, are commands. They are blueprints for more failure. The man who says to himself, "I'm always broke. Nothing ever works out for me. I am not good enough," is not merely describing a reality. He is creating it. He is impressing these commands upon his obedient servant, his subconscious, which then works tirelessly to make sure he remains broke, that things do not work out, and that he is never good enough. He has become the architect of his own prison. The power of thought is evident in every success story you have ever heard. Those who rise from obscurity to greatness Those who overcome insurmountable odds, who build wealth, achieve influence, and leave a lasting impact on the world, all share this one common, defining trait. They conditioned their minds to expect and to create success. They refused, with an iron will, to entertain thoughts of defeat. They saw obstacles not as failures, but as temporary setbacks. They saw them as lessons. They saw them as stepping stones. Their external reality shifted because, and only because, their internal, inadvertent, mental habit shifted first. Now, we must speak of the great enemy of this fortress, the enemy that stands guard at the door of your mind, seeking to destroy your purpose. That enemy is doubt. Doubt is the silent destroyer of dreams. It is the whispered lie, the poison that you drink, the assassin of all ambition. It is the voice that says, "It is reserved for others. It is not for you. Your effort is wasted. Failure is inevitable." But you must understand, doubt only holds power over those who allow it to. Doubt is a thought, and like any other thought, it can be dismissed. It can be starved. It can be uprooted from the garden of your mind. The moment you decide to replace doubt with faith, to replace uncertainty with conviction, to replace hesitation with decisive action, everything begins to change. The human mind, as we have learned, is designed to seek confirmation of its own beliefs. This is a profound and critical mechanism. If you believe you are incapable, your mind will, as if by magic, find all the evidence in the world to support that belief. It will magnify your failures. It will highlight your weaknesses. It will show you all the other people who are smarter and more talented. It will hunt for proof of your own inadequacy. But if you, by a deliberate act of will, choose to believe that you are destined for greatness, that your purpose is just, and that your success is inevitable, your mind will, with that same impartial power, begin to hunt for evidence to support that belief. It will find ways to make it a reality. It will highlight your strengths. It will minimize your failures and reframe them as lessons. It will show you opportunities where others see only walls. This is not magic. My friends, this is the simple, undeniable power of a focused, disciplined, and directed mind. Everything that exists in the world today, from the towering skyscrapers that pierce the clouds, to the bridges that span great rivers, to the technological breakthroughs that connect our world, every single one was once just a thought. It was just an idea, an impulse, held in a single human mind. What was the difference? What was the difference between the man whose idea faded into nothing and the man whose idea built an empire? The difference was not the idea. The difference was belief. The difference was the ability of that man to dominate his own mind, to hold that thought, to protect it from all doubt, to feed it with his faith, and to nurture it until it became an obsession. The mind must first accept the possibility. It must see the reality. Before the body can take the action, a person who allows themselves to think boldly, to see themselves achieving what they desire, to live in the feeling of that success before it has arrived, that person has already won half the battle. Their thoughts, their dominant, focused thoughts, have set in motion a chain of events that must, by law, bring their vision to life. But, you say, this is difficult. My mind is filled with negativity. I am a creature of habit. And I say to you, you are correct. Negativity is a habit, and like any habit, it can be broken. Your mind, right now, may be weak. It may be untrained. It may be filled with the weeds of a lifetime of drifting, but it is still a muscle. And like any muscle, it can be trained. It can be conditioned. It can be strengthened. The process begins with awareness. It begins with the courage to stand back and listen to your own thoughts, to recognize the self-defeating limiting thoughts as they arise. You must become the guard at the gate of your mind. As we discussed, you must stand there and inspect every thought that seeks entry. And you must ask, does this thought serve my definite purpose? Does this thought move me closer to my goal? If it is a thought of fear, of doubt, of envy, of limitation, you must, as the master of the house, deny it entry. You must replace it, actively and deliberately, with its opposite, a powerful, empowering, and constructive thought that is aligned with your purpose. This requires discipline. This is the work. This is the daily, hourly, moment-by-moment effort of guarding your mind against all outside influences that seek to instill limitation. You must be ruthless in curating your mental diet. You must stop feeding your mind the poison of the world's negativity, the gossip, the cynicism, and the fear. You must, instead, deliberately feed it with ideas of power, of success, of greatness, and of service. You must remember the great truth. Circumstances do not define a person. Thoughts do. Two individuals can face the exact same challenge, the exact same failure. One will see it as a dead end, as proof of his own inadequacy, and he will give up. His story ends there. The other, the man who has mastered his mind, will see the exact same event and see it as a lesson. He will see it as a necessary redirection. He will find the seed of opportunity within it. He will get up, stronger and wiser, and he will find another way forward. The only difference was not the event. It was how they chose to think about it. A person who controls their thoughts controls their future. By choosing your thoughts wisely, by choosing them deliberately, by nurturing them with unwavering faith, you are no longer just reacting to life. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are creating your life. You are the architect. You are the master. This is the limitless power that has been placed in your hands. This is the key to all success. You must become the architect of reality. And now that you have this blueprint, this definite purpose, and this controlled, focused mind, you must learn to ignite it. You must learn to set it on fire with the one force that turns a cold blueprint into a burning obsession. You must learn the power of desire. A person who controls their thoughts controls their future. By choosing thoughts wisely, deliberately, and with unwavering faith, one does not just react to life, they create it. The mind is the architect of destiny. You have now become that architect. You have stood in the fog. You have forged a definite purpose. And you have now claimed the authority to command your own mind. You have the blueprint. But an architect with a blueprint and no fire, no passion, no drive to build, is just a man with a piece of paper. The mind is the captain. But the next pillar we will discuss, burning desire, is the furnace. It is the fire that powers the entire ship. This is the work we do here. This channel is not for drifters. It is a forge for the mind, and it is a warehouse for the soul. If you are committed to not just knowing the blueprint, but igniting the fire to build it, then make your commitment known. Subscribe to this channel. Join this mastermind of builders who refuse to live a cold, passionless life. Now, let us light the fire. So, my friends, you have done the great work. You have stood in the fog of uncertainty at the great crossroads, and you have made the most important, life-altering decision a human being can make. You have rejected the life of the drifter. You have refused to be a ship without a rudder, tossed aimlessly on the waves of circumstance. You have, through a deliberate act of will, forged for yourself a definite, chief purpose. You now have a destination. You have a map, and you have taken the next critical step. You have learned that this map is useless if the captain is blind, or cowardly, or asleep. You have entered the command center of your own being, the great workshop of your mind, and you have begun the process of becoming the architect of your reality. You have learned to control your thoughts, to cast out the enemies of fear and doubt, and to hold that map, your purpose, in the clear, steady light of your own focused attention. And just now, you have ignited the furnace. You have learned that a cold engine, no matter how perfect, will not move. You have cultivated a burning desire. You have found your great why. You have set your soul on fire with a magnificent, all-consuming obsession. And so you stand. You have the map purpose. You have the captain mind. And you have the fire desire. But I tell you, the ship is still in the harbor. The fire is raging in the furnace. But the engines are not engaged. The captain is staring at the map. But the rudder is not turned. And the propellers are not spinning. You are, in this moment, a magnificent, powerful, and pressurized container of potential. But potential, unexpressed, is a tragedy. Desire, without a mechanism to express itself, is just internal pressure. It is frustrated energy that will, if not released, curdle into bitterness, cynicism, and regret. We have now, therefore, come to the great engine itself. We have come to the mechanism of creation. We have come to the two great twin pistons that must work in perfect, harmonious synchronicity to propel your ship out of the harbor of your present circumstances and across the vast ocean, toward the shore of your destiny. These two forces, which must be combined, are faith and action. These are the two forces that, when combined, create the unstoppable momentum you seek. But if they are separated, they are useless. One without the other is the very definition of failure. Faith alone is not enough. To sit idly, to meditate on your purpose, to cultivate your desire, and to hope for success without taking action, is to live in a world of illusions, and likewise, action without faith is an empty, brutal struggle. It is a directionless, frantic effort that leads only to exhaustion and frustration. True achievement, the kind that builds empires and changes the world, is born only in that fiery, sacred marriage when your unshakable, internal faith fuels your relentless, external action, and your relentless, external action, in turn, reinforces and magnifies your unshakable, internal faith. Let us first, in detail, examine the first of these twin forces. Let us examine faith. Faith is the foundation of all great accomplishments, but we must be perfectly crystal clear on what faith is and what it is not. Faith is not hope. Hope is the beggar's plea. Hope is the wish of the drifter. The man who is hoping the winds will change, hoping for a lucky break, hoping someone will rescue him. Hope is passive. Hope is weak. Hope is a surrender of your power to chance. Faith, I tell you, is the opposite of hope. Faith is not a plea. It is a command. Faith is an inner conviction, a deep, profound, and unshakable knowing that your goal can and will be achieved. It is the acceptance of your desire as a finished fact, even when, and especially when, your five senses, your physical eyes and ears, present you with a world of evidence to the contrary. Your five senses, my friends, are liars. They are not liars because they are malicious. They are liars because they are limited. Your senses can only report on what is. They can only report on your present circumstances. And what are your present circumstances? They are nothing but the dead, crystallized result of your past thinking. Your senses can only show you your old mistakes, your old fears, and your old limitations. If you live by your five senses alone, you are living in the past. You are a prisoner of what has been. Faith is your sixth sense. Faith is the only one of your senses that can perceive the future. It is the only sense that can see the reality you are creating. The reality you have chosen with your definite purpose. Faith is the quiet, internal certainty that, despite your present circumstances, a greater future is not only possible, it is inevitable. Those who possess this kind of faith do not rely on external validation. This is why the man of faith is so powerful. He does not need reassurance from the crowd. The crowd, living by their five senses, will look at his vision and call him a fool. They will look at his temporary failures and call him a failure. But the man of faith does not hear them. He is listening to a higher authority. He is listening to the command of his own purpose. He trusts in his vision. He trusts in his abilities. And he trusts in the unseen forces of the universe that, by law, must conspire to guide the man who dares to believe. Faith provides the courage to start. Why? Because it redefines your relationship with failure. The man of weak hope is terrified of failure, because he sees it as a final verdict. The man of strong faith is not, because he knows that failure is a temporary, necessary illusion. Faith provides the strength to persist. It provides the resilience to withstand failure, to withstand rejection, to withstand hardship. It is the invisible force, the fire of your desire, that keeps you going, long after others, the sensible ones, have quit. But, as I have warned you, faith without action is nothing more than a wish. It is a delusion. A man can believe in his dreams. He can visualize his success. He can affirm his potential every single day. But if he does not act, if he does not move, if he does not begin to build the bridge to that vision, then nothing will change. Wishing for success does not create success. Believing in a harvest does not make the crops grow. You must plant the seed. You must do the work. This brings us to the second physical piston of the engine: action. Action is the fuel that turns the invisible spark of faith into a visible, raging fire. Action is the body of faith. Faith is the soul, but action is the body. One without the other is either a ghost, invisible and powerless, or a corpse, lifeless and decaying. You must have both. Every great achievement in history was made possible because some man or woman who first had the faith, then took a bold, decisive, physical action. They did not wait. This is the great secret. They did not wait for the perfect time. They did not wait for the ideal circumstances. They did not wait until they had all the information. They did not wait until the fear went away. They did not allow the paralysis of analysis to stop them. They stepped forward, in faith, took the risk, and made things happen. They understood that faith is the spark, but consistent, daily, relentless action is the fuel that turns that dream into a reality. Now, we must define this action. Action, as I use the word, does not mean reckless. Frantic movement without strategy, that is the drifter in a panic. That is action without faith. That is the empty, directionless struggle that leads to burnout and frustration. The man who works hard, digging ditches all day with no blueprint, is a man of action, but he is not a man of success. He is a slave to his own effort. The action I speak of is intelligent action. It is deliberate action. It is action taken in service of your definite purpose. It is taking deliberate, calculated steps toward your goal, with the full belief and conviction that your success is inevitable. It means making decisions with confidence, even when uncertainty is present. This is where most people fail. They fail in the face of uncertainty. They fear making the wrong choice. They are so terrified of making a mistake that they, instead, make the greatest mistake of all. They do nothing. They stagnate. Inaction, my friends, is the true enemy of all progress. Inaction is the dark, damp soil where fear and doubt take root and grow into monsters. Inaction is the true failure. But you, the man of faith, You must understand this. Even a step in the wrong direction is better than standing still. Why? Because even a step in the wrong direction provides valuable lessons. It provides feedback. A wrong step is not a failure. It is a lesson in navigation. You have learned a path that does not work. You have gathered new information. You are now smarter, wiser, and more prepared to take the next step. The drifter waits for the path to be perfectly clear before he moves, and so he waits forever, frozen in the fog. The master, the man of faith and action, moves into the fog, and in moving, his very action becomes the light that illuminates the next 5 feet of the path before him. He creates the path by walking it. So, how do these two forces, faith and action, work together? This is the great synthesis. This is the engine firing. You begin with your purpose, held in your mastered mind, and ignited by your burning desire. This combination creates faith. It creates the certainty of the outcome. This faith, this internal conviction, now gives you the courage to take the first, deliberate action. You step out. You make the call. You write the first page. You buy the first tool. Now, the world will test you. This is the guarantee. You will meet adversity. You will meet a failure. And in this moment, the two forces are revealed. The wisher, the man of mere hope, takes his first hesitant action. He meets the first wall of resistance. And what happens? His weak hope is extinguished. He says, "I knew it. It's impossible. It wasn't meant to be." He retreats back into the safety of his inaction. But the master, the man of true faith, takes his first deliberate action. He meets the exact same wall of resistance. He feels the same pain of setback. But what is his response? His faith is unmoved. His faith, which is not based on external evidence but on internal conviction, looks at the wall and says, "This is not the end. This is part of the process. This is the test I was warned about." His faith is not shaken. It is hardened. And so, his faith commands him to take another action. This is the birth of persistence, which we will soon discuss. He takes another step. He finds a way around the wall, or over it, or he begins to chip away at it. And this new action, this act of persisting in the face of failure, reinforces his faith. His subconscious mind says, "We are still moving. We are still committed. This must be real." And this stronger faith now fuels a bolder action. And that bolder action produces a small result. And that small result proves his faith correct. And that proof creates even stronger faith. And that stronger faith creates even bolder action. Do you see the cycle? Faith fuels action. Action creates results. Results create stronger faith. Stronger faith fuels bolder action. This, my friends, this is the unstoppable momentum. This is the flywheel of success. This is how empires are built. It is the perfect, harmonious, powerful collaboration between your internal, spiritual conviction and your external, physical will. The world belongs to those who believe in their dreams and work tirelessly, persistently, to bring them to life. Success is not given to the hesitant. It is not given to the doubtful. It is not given to the passive. It is claimed. It is claimed by those who dare to move forward with faith, even when, and especially when, the path is unclear. It is earned. It is earned by those who refuse to be defeated by temporary failure, who persist when others stop, who act when others only hesitate. Faith gives you the vision, but it is your action, your hard, deliberate, daily, or persistent action that turns that invisible vision into a tangible, physical, glorious reality. Those who understand and apply this twin principle, this engine of creation, will never remain lost for long, for they are not drifters, waiting to be found. They are navigators, always moving, always creating, and always, inevitably, moving toward their destiny. This is the great creative law. And now, you must ask yourself what you will do when this engine is running. And the journey becomes long and hard. You must now learn the final great law. You must learn the law of persistence. My friends, we have come to the final and most critical law in this great architecture of achievement. We have done the work that 99 out of 100 people are too afraid or too lazy to even begin. You have stood in the cold, disorienting fog of being lost, and you have recognized it not as a curse, but as a signal, a divine invitation to rise to a higher plane. You have learned that adversity is not your enemy. It is your forge, the fire that burns away your impurities and tempers you into steel. You have then done the great, foundational work. You have refused to be a drifter, a ship without a rudder. You have forged, in the fires of your own mind, a definite, chief purpose. You have a destination. You have a map. You have become the captain of your own vessel, learning to master the command center of your mind, replacing the chaotic rule of doubt and fear with the calm, steady, iron-willed hand of your purpose. You have learned to ignite the furnace, to fuel your journey with a white-hot, burning desire. And you have engaged the great twin engines of creation. You have learned that your internal, unshakable faith must and will power your external, relentless action. And so, your ship has left the harbor, the engines are running, the fire is burning, the captain is at the helm. You are moving. And now, my friends, precisely because you are moving, precisely because you have dared to challenge the waves of circumstance, I must tell you the truth. You will be tested. The storm will come. The winds of adversity will blow. The currents of temporary failure will try to push you onto the rocks. This is not a possibility. It is a guarantee. This is the great filter. This is the moment in every journey where the 99% fail. They had the dream. They had the purpose. They even had the desire. They took the first actions. But when the first great storm hit, their engine stalled. Their faith wavered. Their desire grew cold. And they turned the ship around, retreating to the safety of the harbor of mediocrity they once swore to leave. Why? They were missing the one single great insurance policy of all success. They lacked the one quality that serves as the final absolute guarantee. We have now come to the last and most important of all these laws. We must now speak of the great guarantee of success. We must speak of persistence. Persistence is the single greatest factor that determines success or failure. It is the one final, non-negotiable price that life demands for greatness. It is the force that keeps a person moving forward when every fiber of their being, every voice in their head, and every person around them is screaming for them to quit. It is the force that pushes through discouragement, that starves doubt, and that absolutely refuses to accept defeat. Without persistence, your talent is wasted, your ambition is meaningless, your education is useless, and your dreams, no matter how brilliant, will remain unrealized. The tragic ghosts of a life you could have lived. Look around you. The world is full of talented failures. It is full of men and women who started strong, who were filled with excitement and energy, but who, when faced with their first real obstacle, hesitated, slowed down, and eventually stopped. But those who succeed, the 2%, the masters, the commanders, they are the ones who refuse to quit, no matter how difficult the journey becomes, no matter how dark the night, no matter how fierce the storm. They hold their course. They understand that every challenge, every setback, and every delay is simply part of the process. The path to success is never a smooth, straight, easy road. It is not designed to be. It is designed to be difficult. It is filled with tests And these tests are designed for one purpose: to determine who truly deserves to achieve their goals. Life does not hand over its greatest rewards easily. It demands proof. It demands proof of your commitment. It demands proof of your resilience. It demands proof of your unshakable will. These obstacles, these challenges, are not punishments. As we learned, they are preparation. They exist to separate those who are merely interested in success from those who are truly determined to have it. The man who is interested will work when it is convenient. He will act when his mood is right, but when the test comes, he will quit. The man who is determined, the man of persistence, will prove himself worthy. He does not allow a temporary defeat to turn into a permanent failure. This is the most important distinction you will ever learn. A temporary defeat is an event. It is feedback. It is a lesson. A permanent failure is an outcome. It is a choice. It is the decision to accept that temporary defeat as the final word. The man of persistence refuses to make this choice. Instead, he rises again and again, learning from his mistakes and growing stronger with each and every challenge. Many of the greatest success stories in history are not tales of instant, brilliant victory. They are tales of relentless, brutal, stubborn persistence. The most accomplished individuals are not the ones who never fail. They are the ones who refuse, with an iron will, to stay down. They faced rejection. They faced criticism. They faced financial ruin. They were told by everyone, the experts, the sensible ones, that their dream was impossible. They were ridiculed, yet they pressed forward. They did not allow temporary failure to define them. They understood, in their very bones, that every setback, every no, every closed door, carried within it the seed of a future success. They knew that persistence is not just about working hard. A mule works hard, but it is still a mule. No. Persistence is about maintaining faith and effort even when, and especially when, results are not immediate. This is the hardest work. This is the work that forges a soul. This is the true test of your character. It is easy to act when you are getting positive feedback. It is easy to have faith when the money is rolling in. But can you persist when you have given everything and received nothing? Can you persist when your bank account is empty? When your friends have abandoned you? And when your own senses are telling you that your cause is lost? The man who can do this, the man who can hold his purpose steady in that storm, that man is inevitable. Why do most people quit? They quit too soon. This is the great tragedy of human life. They give up when the finish line is just beyond their sight. They allow fear, the ghost we have learned to cast out, to take control. They allow frustration, the temporary, volatile emotion, to hijack their mind. They allow impatience to destroy their destiny. They look at a difficulty and they assume it means their goal is impossible. But difficulty, my friends, is not a reason to stop. Difficulty is the price. Difficulty is the sign that the goal is worthy. The truth is, every great achievement in this world was once deemed impossible until someone, a single, persistent individual, refused to believe the verdict. That person, that man or woman, was not necessarily the strongest. They were not the smartest. They were not the most talented. They were, simply, the one who refused to quit. They were the one who was willing to go one more step, to try one more time, to endure one more hardship, when everyone else had given in and gone home. You must, therefore, cultivate persistence as a habit. It is not a mystical quality you are born with. It is a decision. It is a skill. It is a muscle. And like all habits, it must be developed. It must be trained, day by day. How do you build this iron-willed habit? You build it, first, on the bedrock of your definite purpose. Your persistence is only as strong as your why. If your purpose is weak, if it is a mere wish, Your persistence will be weak. You will quit at the first sign of trouble. But if your purpose is a burning desire, as we have discussed, if it is an all-consuming obsession, if your why is so powerful that it makes you weep, then you will have the fuel to endure anyhow. Your desire will be the fire that keeps your engine running, even in the coldest, darkest, longest night. You build it. Second, by mastering your mind, you must, as we learned, refuse to entertain thoughts of defeat. You must adopt the mindset that there are only two outcomes. You either win or you learn. You never, ever lose. You train your mind to see every failure as a lesson. What did this teach me? How can I be stronger? What is the seed of advantage here? A man who cannot fail, but can only learn and grow, is a man who cannot be stopped. You build it. Third, through the power of your faith and your action, you must develop the habit of persistence in small, daily choices. You do not become persistent on the day of the great battle. You become persistent by practicing persistence. By finishing the task you said you would finish, even when you are tired. By making the call you are afraid to make. By saving the dollar you are tempted to spend. By refusing to quit on the small things, you are building the mental muscle, the character, the habit, that will ensure you do not quit on the great ones. Persistence is not about never falling. It is about the habit of always, immediately, rising. This, my friends, is the great guarantee. Life rewards those who refuse to give up. The universe itself, all of all law, must eventually yield to the man who refuses to quit. The man whose persistence demonstrates that his faith is absolute. The greatest mistake is not failing. The greatest mistake is quitting too soon. Every obstacle has a solution. Every problem has an answer. And every goal can be reached by those. And only those who are willing to endure the struggle. The secret to success is not hidden in luck. It is not hidden in privilege. It is not hidden in your natural, God-given ability. It is hidden in your will. It is hidden in your persistence. Those who keep moving forward, no matter how slow the progress, will always, inevitably, surpass those who stop. The man who never quits is the one who ultimately wins. Life will test you. It will test you. Who dares to dream, who seeks success, and who refuses to settle for mediocrity. The path will seem unclear. The obstacles will feel overwhelming. Doubt will creep in. But you, the man or woman who has found their purpose, you are never truly lost, because within you lies the power to choose. Within you lies the power to control your thoughts. Within you lies the power to ignite your desire. Within you lies the power to take relentless action. And within you, you have discovered the final, great, unshakable guarantee, the power to persist. Against all odds, this is the price, this is the law, and this is the guarantee of your success. Life, my friends, will test every individual who dares to dream. It will test every person who seeks success. And it will, with relentless force, challenge every soul who refuses to settle for mediocrity. We have established this as a law. At times, the path may seem unclear, the obstacles may feel overwhelming, and the old, familiar, cowardly voice of doubt may creep in. But I am here to tell you, as we conclude this instruction, that the man or woman who has truly absorbed these principles, the one who has done the work, that person can no longer be lost. You may be in a storm, but you are not lost. You may be in the fog, but you are not lost. You may be tested, but you are not lost. Why? Because you are no longer the same being who first wandered into that fog. You are not the drifter. You are not the ship without a rudder. The feeling of being lost is a paralysis, an identity of victimhood. But the man who has a definite purpose, a man who is the master of his own mind, a man who is fueled by a burning desire, a man who operates through faith and action, and a man who is shielded by persistence. That man is not a victim. He is a navigator. He is a commander. And he is, in the end, inevitably. Let us review the magnificent architecture you have built. Let us understand, in our very bones, who you have become, and why you can never be truly lost again. We began our journey in that very fog of uncertainty. We stood at the crossroads. We confronted the feeling of being lost. And what did we learn? We learned that this feeling was not a failure. It was not a verdict. It was a signal. It was a call to rise. We learned that adversity is not the end. It is the seed of transformation. It is the preparation. The man you were, the drifter, felt that fog and was paralyzed by it. He saw the storm of adversity as a punishment, as a sign to turn back, as proof that he was a failure. He was defined by his struggles. But you, the man you have become, you are no longer defined by your struggles. You are refined by them. You have learned the great alchemical secret that every setback, every failure, every moment of pain carries within it the seed of an equal or greater opportunity. You no longer fear the storm. You see it as the forge. You do not curse the fire. You know it is the force that is tempering you into steel. You do not fear the pressure. You know it is the force that is turning you from common coal into a priceless diamond. So when the fog rolls in, when the next challenge of your life appears, you are not lost. You are not a victim. You are a student. You are a warrior. You do not ask, "Why is this happening to me?" You ask, "What is this trying to teach me? What strength is this adversity revealing? What weakness is this fire burning away?" You, my friends, have learned to see the signal in the storm, and a man who can find the lesson in the loss. A man who can find the opportunity in the obstacle. That man is not lost. That man is being guided. And how are you guided? What is the force that pulls you from the fog? It is the second great pillar we have built. It is the great lighthouse of your new life. The greatest tragedy, we learned, is not being lost. It is moving through life without a clear and definite purpose. The drifter is the ship without a rudder. He is at the mercy of every wind, every wave. He is not lost because he is going nowhere. He simply is lost. He is an effect, not a cause. But you have done the hard, introspective work. You have made the most important decision of your life. You have forged for yourself a definite, chief purpose. You are no longer the drifter. You are the captain. You have a map. You have a destination. And this changes everything. A ship with a rudder, a ship with a definite destination, can never be lost. It can be off course. It can be battered by a storm. It can be delayed. But it is never lost, because the captain has an internal magnetic compass that is more real than the temporary external storm. Your definite purpose is that compass. It is your North Star. When the fog of uncertainty surrounds you, when you cannot see the path 5 feet in front of your face, you are not lost. You simply look down at the compass of your purpose. It tells you where north is. It tells you where your goal lies. And so, you may be moving slowly. You may be struggling, but you are always, always moving in the right direction. When the world, the crowd, your critics shout at you, "This is the wrong way. Turn back. You are lost." You do not listen to them. They are the noise of the storm. You listen, instead, to the quiet, powerful, magnetic pull of your purpose. A man with a definite purpose may be delayed. He may be tested, but he can never, ever be lost. And this leads to the third pillar. How do you, the captain, hold this course? How do you trust the compass when the storm is screaming in your ears? You do so because you have become the master of the third great pillar. You have become the architect of reality. You have learned to master your mind. You have learned that your thoughts are not passive. They are active, creative forces. You have learned that your mind is the architect and your life is the building. You have learned that you become what you think about most often. The drifter, the man who is lost, is a slave to his mind. His mind is a mirror, reflecting the chaos of the storm outside. He sees the fog, so he thinks thoughts of confusion. He sees the failure, so he thinks thoughts of defeat. His external world dictates his internal state. But you, the master, you have reversed this. Your mind is not a mirror. It is a projector. It is a lighthouse. It projects its own light, the light of your purpose, into the fog. Your internal state dictates your external reality. You understand that the facts of your senses, the fog, the storm, the empty bank account, the rejection letter, these are not the final truth. These are temporary, objective facts that are the result of past thinking. Your true reality, the subjective reality, is the vision you hold in your mind. And you know, as a law, that this internal, subjective truth, when held with faith, will always, inevitably, overcome the external, objective fact. When the thought of doubt enters your mind, as it will, you do not entertain it. You are the guard at the gate of your mind. You inspect that thought. You see it for what it is, a traitor, a spy, an illusion, and you cast it out, replacing it with the dominant, powerful thought of your purpose. You have learned to control your internal dialogue. You have learned to condition your mind for success, because you know that you are not what your circumstances say you are. You are what your thoughts say you are. And a man who is the master of his own mind, a man who can control his own thoughts, that man is not lost. That man is a creator. He is an architect. And what powers this magnificent engine? What keeps the captain alert at the helm? What keeps the mind focused, even in the darkest night? It is the fourth great pillar, the fire within. It is your burning desire. The drifter, when he is lost, is cold. His wish for success was a weak, lukewarm preference. And at the first cold blast of the storm, his fire goes out. He has no fuel. He gives in to the cold, to the despair. He quits. But you are different. You have cultivated an obsession. You have found your great why. Your purpose is not just a cold, logical idea. You have, as we discussed, set your soul on fire with it. Your desire is a white-hot furnace, deep in the engine room of your ship. This burning desire is the fuel for your journey. It is the force that makes you want to persist. When the storm rages, when the waves crash over the deck, when your hands are raw and your body aches from the struggle, it is your desire that keeps you standing. It is your desire that burns hotter than the cold winds of adversity. The man who is lost has a weak desire. The man who cannot be lost has a desire that is stronger than his fear, stronger than his doubts, and stronger than any failure. When you are fueled by this all-consuming passion, you do not see obstacles as the drifter does. The drifter sees the wall and says, "It is impossible." The man of desire sees the same wall and says, "It is an inconvenience." His desire is stronger than the wall. He will find a way around it, or over it, or he will begin, right then and there, to tear it down, brick by brick, with his bare hands. He is propelled by a force that is more powerful than any temporary hardship. A man who has a why that is strong enough can bear almost any how, and a man whose why is a burning obsession, that man is not lost. That man is a force of nature. And so, you have the map of purpose. You have the captain, your mastered mind. You have the fuel, your burning desire. Now, we must engage the engines. We must connect this power to the propellers. This is the fifth pillar, the great twin engines of faith and action. The drifter, the man who is lost, is paralyzed. He is frozen in the fog. He has a wish, but he has no faith. He is waiting for the fog to clear before he will move. He is waiting for a guarantee. He is waiting for permission. He is waiting for the perfect conditions. And so, he waits forever. He dies in the fog. But you, the master, you understand the great creative law. You understand that faith and action are the twin pistons that propel you forward. You understand that faith is not hope. Faith is a command. Faith is the deep, internal knowing that your purpose is a finished fact, even when your senses deny it. And you understand that this faith is not passive. It must be combined with action. You do not wait for the fog to clear. You move into the fog. You take the first, deliberate step, guided not by your eyes, but by your internal compass, your purpose. And a magnificent thing happens. As you take that step in faith, your very action, your very movement, becomes the light that illuminates the next 5 feet of the path. And you take that step, and the next 5 feet are revealed. You create the path by walking it. This is the great secret. You do not find the path. You make it. The man who is lost is a man of inaction. He is a victim of stagnation. But you, the man of faith and action, you know that inaction is the true failure. Next, let's explore the final and most critical law of this blueprint. Even a step in the wrong direction is better than standing still, because it provides a lesson. It is feedback. It moves you. And a man who is moving, a man who is acting in faith, that man is not lost. That man is a navigator. And what is the great guarantee? What is the one final law that ensures your ship, this magnificent vessel you have built, will reach its destination? It is the sixth and final pillar. It is the great insurance policy of all success. It is the shield that protects you in the storm. It is the unshakable law of persistence. This, my friends, is the single greatest factor that determines success or failure. It is the force that separates the master from the amateur. It is the quality that keeps you moving, keeps you acting, when every other force in the universe is telling you to quit. The drifter has no persistence. His desire was a weak wish. His faith was only hope. And when he hits the first great storm, when he faces his first real test, he quits. He turns the ship around. He surrenders. But you, the master, you are different. You have forged your character in the fires of adversity. You have a purpose that is a burning obsession. You have a mind that is under your command. And you have made the one final decision that makes your success inevitable. You have decided that you will never quit. You will not allow temporary defeat to become permanent failure. You understand that failure is not a verdict. It is an event. It is a lesson. It is feedback. The most accomplished individuals in history are not the ones who never fail. They are the ones who failed more than anyone else. They are the ones who were told no more than anyone else. They are the ones who were rejected, criticized, and beaten down, but who refused to stay down. Their persistence was not just working hard. It was the act of maintaining their faith and continuing their action. Even when there were no results, it was the ability to hold their vision steady, even when their senses were screaming that it was impossible. This is the habit you must build. You build it by choosing day after day not to stop. You build it by refusing to let your emotions, your fatigue, or the opinions of others dictate your actions. You build it by understanding that every failure is just a problem to be solved, a lesson to be learned, a new path to be found. The man who refuses to quit is the man who cannot be defeated. And so, my friends, look at who you have become. You are the man who, when he feels lost, sees it as a signal to rise. You are the man who has a definite internal compass, your purpose, that is more real than any external fog. You are the man who is the architect of his own reality, who controls his mind. You are the man who is fueled by an unquenchable inner fire of desire. You are the man who moves with the twin engines of faith and action. And you are the man who is guaranteed to arrive, because you are shielded by an unbreakable iron will of persistence. Is this man lost? Can this man be lost? No. He is a master. He is a navigator. He is a creator. The road to success is not for the faint of heart, but it is, and always will be, for those who are willing to push forward, despite the uncertainty, despite the failure, and despite the hardship. The future belongs to those who refuse to give up, who dare to believe in their potential, and who take bold, relentless, persistent steps toward their destiny. No one is ever truly lost if they have the courage to build these pillars, to master these laws, and to keep moving forward. No one is ever truly lost if they have the courage to keep moving forward. You have the blueprint. You have been given the keys to navigate any fog, any storm. But this knowledge is useless if it is not applied. This is not the end of the instruction. It is the beginning of your new life. It is the beginning of your work. This channel is your daily forge. It is the place you return to sharpen your mind, to refuel your desire, and to straighten the steel of your persistence. If you are committed to this journey, if you have decided today that you will no longer be a drifter, then make your final act of command. Subscribe to this channel. It is your declaration that you are a navigator. And as your first act of this new, definite purpose, go to the comment section below and write 3 words. I am not lost. Let the world and your subconscious mind know that you have found your path. Now, go and navigate your destiny.